Welcome back to Our Community. Susie Thomas visiting with Dee Matthews from Keller Williams Legacy Group Realty and Bud Kuiper from the Anchor House, and really appreciate both of you being here. So, Bud, I think 3 years ago you started something, and Dee, last year you got involved with it when you read about Bud. Tell us, what is going on?
Well, Christmas Eve, we hold a event. We're just calling it the sanitized name of a Christmas Eve distribution. We had a committee meeting this year. We chose to call it a Family Christmas Eve. It is where we take things that we've collected throughout the year and what we focus on collecting around Christmas: hats, coats, gloves, scarves, yoga mats, tents, candles. We do haircuts. We do makeup, all geared towards the homeless community. We don't share the location of where it's at publicly on social media because we don't want the greedy showing up and taking from the needy,
right.
Which you're not going to eliminate that altogether, but we try to minimize it. Anybody that wants to know that, we're volunteer-wise or to donate.
It's in a secret location.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
And we do this. We don't require any documentation. We don't require anything. You show up and you talk with. We have guides set aside, and they'll walk you around each thing. You say, "Hey, look, I just need a coat and a pair of shoes." Then that guide will take you the coat and pair of shoes. Or you can get everything we offer, and we're having a huge meal that Michelle Byer had the vision of last year, and it was the first year we incorporated the meal, and we're doing it again this year.
So it was a distribution at Christmas time. Now it's become a big family dinner table gathering around for. And Dee, how cool that a realtor's office is involved with serving the homeless. That's just almost mind-bending, but you have got such a heart for it. Tell us what your part of this is.
Well, we heard about the need last year, and we stepped in right away and did collect many of the items that Bud talked to you about. And you heard from his story the reason that we came back to our office and shared, so we started collecting the items. We want to be a collection point again this year. If anybody would like to donate here in the Stark County area, Keller Williams is located at 4580 Stevens Circle. That's on the corner of Stevens Circle and Munson. Couple buildings behind TGI Fridays. That's a point of location most people know. Mm-hmm. We're on the corner, Stevens Circle and Munson, as I said. We're in the Renaissance building, first floor. And so we are looking to collect those personal items, the toiletries, the socks, the blankets, the tents, the coats, the nail clippers, anything that is on Bud's list. And if anybody's interested, we can get the more detailed lists to you. Bud has shared them on his Facebook page. That's a good source of information, Facebook/Anchor House.
Yes.
And we'd be, more than glad to, share that information and collect those things.
Are there some items that are more in need than other items?
Well,
why don't you say the personal items?
Yeah, personal hygiene is especially deodorant. I found when I did my 9 days that every place gave me toothpaste and toothbrush, but deodorant was harder to get. So the deodorants, feminine hygiene items, it's something that's needed every week by a large majority of women, and it's hard to get. High-ticket items, tents and sleeping bags. Tents and sleeping bags can save a life through the winter. They have to be the small sleep tents because we don't have any approved tent cities here. The homeless that do have tents have to find a place to hide the tent. They have to pack it up in the morning and
so
leave.
That's why we don't know where the tent city is, because the tent city in our area, they pack it up and carry it with them as they go.
Hand warmers?
Hand warmers, yes.
Hand warmers is a great thing. You can get those in the sporting goods stores.
Yes.
And $5 fast food gift cards. It's not just you're not just giving them a meal. You're now giving them rent for a little bit. If they go to McDonald's and they buy a 99-cent coffee, they can spend an hour, 2 hours in there staying warm. Most McDonald's have televisions. They have newspapers you can read. You're giving them permission to be at that restaurant for a while.
Inside.
If you try to exceed the $5, like 10 or 20, then you just open opportunity for abuse of the gift cards on resale.
So $5 particularly, $5 gift cards is the way to go.
Yes.
And you recommend McDonald's or?
Yeah. If we're focusing in downtown Canton, you've got Wendy's, and the McDonald's are the closest. I don't think there's a Burger King downtown Canton anymore. But
isn't there? Okay.
I don't believe so.
Okay.
So those are that's where they're already going to go. So those are where we try to focus on.
There's just so many things to cover on this. Ideally, we wouldn't be having to have this conversation, and there wouldn't be a problem. So you're trying to get yourself out of business. You're trying to work yourself out of business. How do we get these people back on their feet? It just seems like, once you're that deeply in a hole, it's very, very difficult you can't dig yourself out of a hole. Where do they start? It's got to start with a job interview, but to have that, you've got to have a shower and a clean pair of jeans or something to go talk to somebody. How in the world do you get this turned around? How do you turn around the Titanic?
Well, Maslow says that the hierarchy of needs is we can't move on to the next stage of life until our basic needs are being met. If I'm starving all day, I can't think about where I'm going to go look for a job. If I don't have a place to lay my head, I can't think about getting a job. Once I have those needs met, if I'm consistently eating and I'm consistently laying my head somewhere, now I can worry about employment. Stark County does have a great initiative with housing first. We're trying to get all the homeless housed, and it's a collaboration. It's not, Anchor House is just a tiny part of it, and we're not even the big movers and shakers. The Refuge of Hope, the Homeless Hotline, ICANN Housing, they're doing a great job at doing that. It comes down to the individual of wanting that change and ready to move to the next level, and then us providing for them.
And I think you also mentioned something that sound to many people like mutually exclusive terms, the sober homeless person. What steps happen that lead a person who, what happens that leads a person who does not have an abuse problem to lose their home?
There's a number of things. We're all only a paycheck or two away. It doesn't matter if you make $20,000 a year or $200,000 a year. The more you make, the more your bills are going to be. You lose your job, or you have a family crisis. God forbid your child has to spend a month in a hospital for something that's going to drain money, or a house fire, or a divorce, or there's just so many things. I talked to a guy who had 3 master's degrees. He used to work for NASA. He came from Texas to find a job in Ohio. He spent the last of his money because he couldn't find work in Texas. He was overqualified for everything. Came to Ohio, interviewed, and they told him he was overqualified. He spent the last of his money convinced that he was going to get the job here, and he's been stuck in Ohio. I think he's in D.C. now, but he was stuck in Ohio for 2 or 3 years.
What does that do to a man emotionally and psychologically?
When I spent 9 days out, I had small psychological effects after 9 days.
And you knew you were doing this deliberately.
And mine was an act. I was playing homeless per se. But when I came home, I woke up in the middle of the night and I had to stop and think, where was I sleeping? What was around? How I had to react? Do I roll over, or am I sleeping on the bridge? So it took a minute for me to refocus where I was. That was only after 9 days. I can't even imagine what some of these guys go through after being out there for 8 months or longer.
And that being told you're overqualified, I still got to eat.
Yeah.
It is mind-bending. All right. When is all this taking place? How do we get things to you to be able to participate? And what's the best way to be a part of the effort to distribute these very essential items to people who are in need right now? I just think of Jesus, whatever you do for the least of these, you are doing for me. How do we do it?
I think I would ask anybody listening, as they go home tonight, as they enjoy their meal surrounded by their family, as they prepare to go to bed and they have that shower, they have that warm comfort of the comforter and the blankets, to think about the over 500 people that are registered and known about here in Stark County alone. And we believe there may be even 8 to 10 times more homeless that are not registered, or maybe are living, like Bud has said before, from couch to couch. To think about these people. And many of these items that we're seeking to donate are things that we have in our homes. Maybe we have that extra blanket, the coat, the jeans, the clothing. And if some of these clothes are not immediately used by the homeless, Bud does a wonderful job of selling them very minimally to people with needs. And if not, he gives them free to people as as the items become available. But, as you're in your comfort zone, maybe close your eyes and think about how maybe we should be thinking also about all these people. And we have them here in Stark County. And we would love to see people donate the personal items, the clothes, good, used, clean items. Nothing has to be completely brand new. Of course, the personal items do need to be.
Sure.
But if possibly they could keep that in their thoughts and prayers, and then donate either to the Anchor House directly in Alliance, Ohio. Bud?
That's Downtown Alliance, 333 East Market Street. We're across from the post office, next to the Alliance, across from Alliance Review as well, in the old Seidner's Floral Building. We're open from noon to 8, Monday through Saturday.
If not, Keller Williams will take the calls. We're 330-433-6005. We are normally open from 9 to 5 weekdays. My cell phone number is 330-806-3291. We'd be glad to pick up the items. We will make sure they get to Bud in a timely fashion so that they're available, especially for the distribution on Christmas Eve.
I want to make sure I've got those numbers right. 330-433-6005
Yes.
is Keller Williams. And then, or you're giving your cell phone as well, Dee?
That's fine. I just want to get the word out and see if we can't.
All right, I wanted to double check before I repeat
If
it.
somebody would like to have some information, I have the links to Bud's story. I think that's a very moving story. He did do a very nice journal of his 9 days. I'd be glad to forward that to someone if they would like to have that. If they'd like to have the needs list, if they'd like to post those lists in their offices, to get other people involved.
Well, let's give Dee's number again if you want to speak with her, 330-806-3291.
Correct.
All right. Just about 30 seconds left. Great stories that have come from this. Any kind of wonderful happy endings that you've gotten to see? I want to end this on a positive note.
I got to refer back to TJ.
Yeah.
He reached his own rock bottom. Nobody forced it. The courts didn't tell him to go to AA. He knew what he was doing. He had actually got there because he jumped off a bridge to commit suicide. He was done with life. He woke up in a mental hospital, a state hospital. Then he was released. And because he was still drinking, he couldn't go to the Refuge of Hope. So he chose to live in a dumpster. But then he reached his own rock bottom. He started going to AA. He got sober. He reached out to people in Las Vegas, got out there, got a job. He's working. He's got his own place. I believe he's involved in a relationship now. His life is 100 times different than it was this time last year.
That's a good one to end on. Bud Kuiper and Dee Matthews, thank you for everything you're doing in our community.
Thank you.